George Blunt, everybody. I started with George because I was a little, nervous about talking about what I wanted to talk about, because I've talked about it before here, and I just feel bad about talking about it with this crowd. I hate my dog. And I don't mean like, oh, my dog's a pest, or my dog's crazy, or my dog's the marauding village idiot on crack, which he is. You know what I mean? I hate him. I hate him. He's ruining my life. And like 8 pairs of my best shoes, and 3 massive chewed up kitchen garbage bags, one on the tire downstairs, and one in our front walkway before guests arrive, and one in a closed closet. I hate him like you'd hate a degenerate, bullying, super rich, stupid, moronic stepbrother who you're forced to live with in his house for, like, ever. This attitude is, of course, a sin on Vashon Island, at least according to VAPO, a little-known organization, Vashon Association of Pathological Pet Owners. Not to be confused with VIP, whom we love. This is like a splinter, rogue, anonymous organization meting out pet respect justice throughout the island. They will call you out for so much as screaming at your dog. Nobody screams at their cats. Buffy, stop lying there! There is serious pet love on this island. I think it's kind of pet entitlement taken too fucking far, if you ask me. I'm more like a pet Republican. Dogs are for screaming at. They know that, and they don't understand what you're saying to them when you talk to them. We tested this with our old dog. We'd say, sit, Moby, and Moby would sit. And we'd say, twit, Twoby, and Moby would sit. And we'd say, shit, Shoby, and Moby would sit. Which is good, because as a border collie, if she could understand the difference, she would shit on command and then feel really bad about it. So, when we scream at the marauding village idiot on crack, otherwise known as the dog that the Bellevue Humane Society said was a border collie lab, but just kept growing and turned into a great fucking Dane of subpar intelligence, which is saying a lot because Danes already suffer from intelligence issues. When we scream at him, the border collie cowers, and the Dane sort of gushes with affection and thwacks his 60-pound tail on the ground like a fucking jackhammer, and then ruins our doors, scratching, doing this kind of effeminate hound dog howl to get out. And then you let him out, and he turns around and he scratches at the door to get in. And you bring him in, and he fucking turns around and he scratches again, all day long. Who wouldn't scream at that? So, my dogs need exercise, right? I mean, the border collie needs like 22 hours a day, and the Dane's pretty wiped out after 15 minutes, so they're a lot of fun to work with. So I take them on a run, which is actually more of a pull. Ah! And I stop by a neighbor's house to say hello, and I leave them outside in their fenced-in yard. And I go in for like 2 minutes, and I come out, and the border collie is cowering, and the Dane's nowhere, and he comes running around. He's got something in his mouth, and what is that? Oh, it's feathers. And I look up, and it's a poultry fucking massacre. He has obliterated 5 of their 9 chickens in 2 minutes. And I'm like collapsing in horror and disgust and terror and further dog hatred. And I go inside, and I kind of whimper to the dog owner. I say, they have a moment of like, oh no, and then they get over it because, you know, even though they were raised as chicks by their 2- and their 4-year-old and were Christmas birthday presents and they were family pets with names, they're chickens. And I'm like collapsing and sweating and almost vomiting on the ground, and they're like bringing me water and a towel, and they call me later to make sure that I'm okay. So later I'm like, is there a pet Guantanamo prison? And I'm just glad that I don't get seen or apprehended by any of the plainclothes Vapo people who would there's seriously vote you off the fucking island. They're the pet Taliban. The pet TSA. The TSA. Has there ever been a more motley selection of humanity put in charge of shit than the TSA? And they power trip? I mean, you give them a badge and a walkie-talkie and they go all Kiefer Sutherland on you. We got a random on 2! Random on 2! Jack it out of the cook! Jack it out! Your computer out of the bag! Don't make me use these! Use what? You don't have anything. Like, we just went to Mexico and came back. We were on this really awesome, super relaxing, intimate vacation with 38 other people from Vashon. I'm not even kidding. 22 of whom were children. We were like a huge, roving, hairy, yet preppy commune. Like doing emotional processing in the street and group decision making on where we eat, and the Mexicans would just laugh at us. And then actually, we did a lot of drinking. The kids were drinking too, and the Mexicans were frowning at us, and we're like, what? We don't vaccinate either. Fuck you! So, we're at the airport, and of course, our flight is oversold, because they all are, and so everyone's standing around, nervous in this, like, protracted elevator experience. Nobody's looking at each other, all mesmerized by the huge television monitors showing a 4-hour Whitney Houston state funeral, and I'm going, we are so fucked up! And the attendant is very, very nervous and desperate at this point. They're like, anyone with flexible travel plans, we'd like to offer you $1,000 in cash, and we'll give you first-class flights tomorrow morning. We'll put you up at the Four Seasons with dinner at the Canlis. We have massage and Botox and prostitutes. Please, please! And everyone's like, I already ate. I'm going on this flight. And so they call boarding zones 1 and 2. Zones 1 and 2. And this clearly non-English speaking guy goes up there with his wife and his 2 kids, and she shames him publicly. I said, zones 1 and 2, stand over there. And everyone around me is having this pissed off experience and reaction. This lady who seems so nice, she's like, God, what a jerk. Billy, stand next to me. It's like parenting on display. There's a dad in front of me with 2 little kids sprawled on the floor. An infant is clutching on to her 3-year-old sister's leg and biting it. And the toddler is like screaming and crying and laughing and kicking at the same time. And the infant is like flopping around like a pit bull on a stick. And they're blocking traffic. And so all these Platinum Club dickheads who are supposed to board are like fuming, creating this toxic emotional environment, which I'm from Vashon, so I'm sensitive to. And the dad is like, Gracie, Claire, this isn't a fun game right now, which clearly from Gracie's perspective is dead fucking wrong. And she's like, fuck you, Daddy. And he's like, Gracie, am I gonna have to pick you up? And at that point, I so wished that they would allow guns in airports. I would have shot anyone just to get Gracie to fucking let go of Claire and let the Platinum Club members board. Fuck Gracie. So, we're about to board, and I don't know about you, but whenever I get to an airport, I have to eat. And it's not because I'm hungry, because when we left the house, I had like a gallon smoothie with almond butter in it, so I'm like, but we're driving through, and I'm like, Ruby, you want to stop at Bob's for a little something? She goes, yeah, and Mama sort of just rolls her eyes, and we go inside, and Ruby gets something that like should have been called gluten refined sugar surprise, and I get, totally unhungry, and I get like a 6,000 calorie ham and cheese croissant, because, why not, right? So it's 30 minutes later, we're at the airport, we're about to board, and I study at that moment, I need to get more food, right? And Martha, God bless her, after 28 years, knows I'm an impossible dipshit in this regard. She just closes her eyes and sighs, and I say, I'll be right back. And I go and I get this massive BLT on a like multi-seed bagel with extra cheese and mayonnaise, and I'm completely not hungry for it because I've yet to remotely digest the 2 meals I already have in my system, but apparently I don't have enough dairy or bread or sulfured meat products in my system, which is weird already because I'm from Vashon and I'm a conscious eater, but no, I'm at the airport, which is a temporary psycho ward, right? So I go and I take it and I shove it down my throat and I just barely swallow it, and then great, we get on board, and like 30 minutes later, the snack cart lady rolls by. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get a little something. Because this flight is oversold, I'm sitting like 20 rows ahead of Martha and Ruby, so there's nobody there to give me any shit, right? So I'm like, wow, make some M&M's, maybe a cheese plate. Oh, a Thai wrap. Oh, what's this? A pre-cooked quarter-pound Angus cheeseburger with all the condiments? Yes! Fucking cheeseburger! I can't even swallow it because the food is up to here. Those of you who know me, you know that I'm kind of a foodie. But I'm like a Tasmanian devil foodie. I'm like, ah, in the kitchen, and I don't always totally clean out very much right away. And, but yet big messes drive my wife batshit. So that's a functional marriage combination. There's not a therapist on earth powerful enough to help us process that shit. But anywho, in a move of great enlightened self-interest, she gives me the greatest Christmas present in the history of mankind. She gives me a Vitamix. I open it, and I have a 4-minute orgasm. It's the most powerful blender known to man on the history of the planet. And there's no cooking, there's no planning, there's no cutting, there's no measuring, there's no cleaning. You just throw shit in there, and you turn it on 1, and then you turn it up to 10, and you tamp it down, whatever you're Vitamixing, like the vegetables, or the fruits, or the meats, or the bones, or the cement. You just turn it on, and then you turn it up to high, and you let it go for like 3 minutes, and it'll turn anything into steaming hot soup just from the friction. And anyone who's come over to my house since Christmas, and some of you will attest to this, are met at the door by me going, "Try the Vitamix! Try the Vitamix!" I also got the worst Christmas present of my life this year. From my mom, I got a Kindle. And I know you're all like, I love my Kindle, but it's like it makes no sense. What a great book. Tap, tap, tap. Let me go back a chapter. Tap, tap, tap. I have 80 books here. Tap, tap, tap. So, and the thing is awesome, right? But I'm already completely awesomed out by the true crack in my life, my iPhone. It's really bad. People come up to me and go, Kevin, how are you? And I'm like, let me check. I have a mood app. It's just loading. It's kind of slow today. I'll be right with you. I'm fine.